Boys, today I'm going to be showing you how to play the London opening. This is a very opening, you know, it's an opening that's very openingly. And it starts with d4, d5, and then you play bishop to f4. Now, the most common response with black is knight to f6. Now here you have two moves, knight f3 or e3, but I would recommend e3 because it's a little more flexible. Now, if your opponent plays bishop to f5, now he will play knight to f3. And it's very likely that you will now get this symmetrical structure here. But what you want to do is you want to break this symmetrical structure with c4. Now, most of the time, you will face c6, which is actually a slight inaccuracy from black, as you will now go queen to b3, attacking this and putting pressure this way. And now, the most common move here is queen to b6, which is another inaccuracy from black, as you will play c5. They will pretty much all the time take. You get this nice open rook, and if we run the depth a little bit more, yeah, it's a pretty good position. And also, your opponent needs to find bishop takes b1 to even be in the game, so you're kind of winning. However, most common move here is knight to d7. Now you'll just develop, because the most common move here is to just do this. And like with your D and C pawns, and your B pawn, because this is the best move, you're just kind of suffocating black's play. I mean, look at these passive pieces. Now, back in this position, the actual most common move here is e6, which isn't the best move. Now you'll just play knight f3 like before, but your opponent has blocked in their bishop. Now, after this position, there are two main responses for black. They can either play bishop d6, and now I really like the move knight to e5. The engine thinks it's a little better for black, but you know, get the knight in the center, you block the bishop. It's a great position, really. You have a pretty high win rate. And against the move c5, you can play c3, and now the most common move is knight to c6, which is a little bit of an inaccuracy. Now, after knight d2, you have a 52% win rate. And after this position, a common sequence is bishop d6, go back, castle, and then bishop to d3, and you're in quite a good position here. Okay, well now after you reach this position, you're doing pretty good. However, in this position, a very common thing against the London is to immediately strike with c5. Now, you will go e3, and this is really popular at the high level. In this position, knight c6 here is the best move, putting pressure on the pawn. But here you can do a little bit of a risky move, knight to c3. The most common move here is actually knight to f6, which is really bad for black, because then we have knight to b5, kind of fried liver style, lining up on c7 instead. And now, they need to play e5, because if they play something like queen a5 check, that doesn't really solve anything. He'll just play c3 and this attack remains. So they have to play e5. And now you can take with either the pawn or the bishop. But I would take with the bishop as this attack remains. And after knight takes e5, takes, and knight e4, you can play queen takes d5, as if they take, then you will fork them. You'll get an epic royal fork. And if they go to g4, you can still do this, and you can still do this fork. And even if you don't get the fork, you're still 2 pawns up, so you're completely winning. And you can actually even play knight c3 as early as move 3. And the point is, if they go knight to c6, it's the same thing, knight to b5. Now, the reason why it wasn't already winning is because, firstly, they could have played a6, preventing this. And secondly, if they just played something like e6, they could have played knight a6. But now, they still have to play this, and you can still take, and you can still get this fork. It's the same position. Except here, well, actually, no, here you're also still up 2 pawns. And actually here, the best move for black is a6. And after a6, you have to go knight c3. The knight has to move, so if something like knight e4 happens, you still take, and you're still going to be up 2 pawns and winning. That's it for this video, and yeah. But don't play the London system, though. It's kind of cringe. Yeah.